Well, I think it's fair to say, NJ, that this show was pretty interesting this week, even though TNA spoiled their main event angle of this show.
Well, the thing about this is that comparing it to last week, they weren't so heavy on the Bound for Glory series because I think they covered the set out of it, and now they were able to add in the stuff that did not happen last week.
Indeed. And we opened up this show with Sting, none other than Sting, who brings out Kurt Angle, the guy that didn't help him at Slammiversary, and he said that he was gonna start a new family of people that weren't in the locker room.
That's what best friends do, Dan.
Yes, indeed. Goals are to destroy SNA and make sure Bully Ray lose the Welterweight Championship, and later tonight we'll meet the newest member of the family. Quick opener, if this wasn't going to be the main angle of the show, I just wonder why this opened instead of the X Division title match.
I think that the X Division would have been a good opener. Like, we're expecting pay-per-views or other shows, a good match to kick off, even though we have the involvement of the big angle coming later on.
Yes, Chris Sabin versus Suicide versus Kenny King for the X Division Championship. We'll just quickly cover the match first. A solid X Division match, and Suicide wins in a kind of screwy way. And, TNA spoiled this match because of the whole Suicide angle. And I guess the big question is, while it may have been done to try and get ratings and to try and get people to watch the show, was it really worth it? Do you think that it was really worth spoiling this whole title change and the whole Suicide angle thing really before it even aired to TV?
I think, I'm not just going to make TNA look bad for this, because WWE did Alberto one time and spoiled the show. So I think maybe it works. Maybe we're going to find out it worked a little bit. But to be honest, I think when it comes to wrestling, the surprise factor interests the fans more than spoiling.
I guess so. And after the match, you get Hogan coming out with TJ Perkins, who was the original Suicide. And we get this whole thing, what was in my opinion, a very interesting and very unique angle that they could only really do with the Suicide character. We got this whole, well, who is this Suicide in the ring? Who is this guy that kind of beat up TJ Perkins to get in the Suicide suit and go on and win the X Division Championship, and therefore option C?
Yeah, because I was surprised that they took the championship off Chris Sabin, give it to Suicide, someone different, but obviously they take it away from Suicide because of this whole, who is he really?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm actually glad they've gone with this angle rather than Chris Sabin, as I feel this was much interesting of a match than Chris Sabin. Just my opinion. And then apparently Hogan says the guy has until the end of the night to reveal himself, so that was going to be our main event, which is why I felt this should have been the opener. Especially if you're going to announce what's going to be the main event, why have it be the second segment of the night when it should really be the opener? Just my opinion. Ryan Howe versus Adam O'Reiner, aka the Big O, in a gut check match. The Big O wins with a power slam. I think it's very obvious here who TNA like more. The bigger guy.
The way I saw this, the whole gut check, I'm glad they're keeping it going because it's bringing in new talent. But from this, it looked like a bulked up Randy Orton and a music artist, Twisted Sister or something, and I wasn't really interested in this. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't interested.
Totally, I did like the guitar solo by Ryan Howe, and I think he looks a little bit like Chronix from Most Extreme Wrestling as well. Kind of similar hair and similar face there. I'm just saying. As for who I would say would get the contract, I imagine it'll be Adam O'Reiner, who has the bigger physique, has got something different to what TNA might want. Basically, another version of Rob Terry. I don't know. Velvet Sky versus Mickie James for the Knockouts Championship. This was actually the hour main event, which, the Knockouts do generally draw good ratings in their segments, so I'm not surprised this was the hour main event, even though a lot did happen on the show that could have probably had the hour main event.
In the past, the Knockouts normally get the hour main event, and like Mr. Parkin said, they do get the good draw. But I think when you've got the Bound for Glory series, you've got the X Division, you've got the main event thing, you could have put one of those in this certain slot.
I guess this is one of those situations where we'll have to see how all this pays off in the ratings. Was having this in the hour main event good for the ratings? Was the whole Suicide thing good for ratings? Who really knows? The Daniel Bryan angle on Raw only drew 104,000 viewers in the overrun, which is terrible. So I guess you don't really know how these things turn out until you actually get the facts and the numbers. Thank God for Bitch Mickey. Bitch Mickey is actually bringing my interest back in the Knockouts division a tad.
Well, with Mickie James, I think we need a really good, strong heel back there because Tara, sadly, she's got wrapped up in this boyfriend thing and she's not being played as the knockout I'd expect to see move forward as a strong heel. Mickie James doing the turn, which we were waiting for, build up slowly before bigger stuff for her. I'm enjoying it.
I'll say this. I'm just glad that Mickie James won because now we can move on to something maybe interesting and fresh for Mickie James going forward. Maybe Taryn Terrell, because next week we've got I believe soon we have that ladder match, which we didn't get promoted on this show or anything. But just glad they moved on now from Velvet Sky and, something new for Mickie James, which is what we needed in the Knockouts division for a long time now.
Even though this made sense, it was the best friend thing that Mickie James brought up in her promo. But yes, we do want to see something fresh, clean for Mickie James.
And also, do you notice how Velvet Sky got the "You tapped out Caitlyn" chants and the crowd didn't really care for it?
I'm really sorry. I compare this to in the past. The WWE and TNA do have similarities copying each other. Like Mr. Parker said, I just saw, when she broke down, I just saw Caitlyn and thought, okay, you've done good the last few weeks not copying angles, but now you bring in this.
Would you say that Mickie James is a much better version of AJ Lee?
Mickie James all the way.
Yes, I would agree so. Bobby Roode versus Magnus in the BFG series. You know that the British guy is getting a push when he beats a former Bound for Glory series winner, Bobby Roode.
Even though this for the Bound for Glory series is the only reason this match is really happening, because I think if it weren't for the series, I think TNA wouldn't be giving Magnus this spot. So I'm hoping after the Bound for Glory series, continue making Magnus look great and continue giving him chances like this, because by beating Bobby Roode, you've made a statement here. Pinfall on Bobby Roode, who's the longest reigning champion. I just really like this match, like the finish. I just hope TNA continue with Magnus.
It was a pretty decent match as well. I mean, it didn't get as much time, but it's definitely having 2 BFG series matches is a hell of a lot better than having 6, because at least these matches can get a little bit more time as well as not feel like overkill sometimes. But I'm glad Magnus gets the victory here. I'm glad that he's getting some kind of push, whether it lead to him, not winning the BFG series. I don't think that matters. I think him being in the top 4 is fine. Right now, he's on 17 points and he's leading the BFG series. That's a good thing, in my opinion.
Yes, it might not last, especially with what comes up later. But I think with Magnus, he's going to be going up against other big names because of this series. I'm just looking forward to the continuation of looking good in the ring.
Go Britain. That's all I can say. Probably the segment we least cared about tonight involved James Storm and Gunner. I don't really like saying that, but was this their... I mean, I had a 2-week break after Slammiversary. Was this their first appearance as tag champs? Because they didn't get entrances, neither did they bring out their tag titles.
Yeah, there's not really been much to these, and I guess because the Bound for Glory series is dominating this big, MEM is dominating. Yeah. But for this coming up here, it looks like they've decided they've got a match at the pay-per-view.
Could they not have picked anyone else other than Robbie E and Jesse Goddard? I'm sorry, but I just don't care when these guys come out. And these guys, Robbie E hasn't won a match in ages. Jesse Goddard hasn't won a match in ages. So if they're teasing a feud between these two, fucking hell. It wasn't me, or did this segment just nosedive after these losers came out?
Sadly, with James Storm, Mike, at first, I just thought, okay, yes, James Storm is an ex-main eventer. He's here for Gunner, but I don't really find it interesting adding a guy who I really don't believe TNA should keep around, because what is the point of having Robbie E? I don't see a future in him. I don't see anything apart from a jobber. If this is the tag team feud, yes, you've got too many tag teams in this Bound for Glory series, but I just don't enjoy this segment.
Hell, I would rather have James Storm and Gunner in the main event Mafia than anything else right now, rather than feuding with these losers. But anyway, Samoa Joe versus Mr. Anderson in the BFG series, our second BFG series match of the night. The Ace and Eights come out as they do, and then you have Sting and Angle, the 2 Hall of Famers of main event Mafia, coming out to take them out, allowing Samoa Joe to get the submission victory. He's now on 12 points. And we get revealed that Samoa Joe is part of the main event Mafia, and I think he was one of the original members at one point. So it seems like we have all 3 original members. And I think going forward, I don't mind Samoa Joe being in there because he is a guy that, could be put over in this thing. But I do think that going forward, they should add some newer members to this that haven't been part of the main event Mafia before.
That's what I was kind of hoping for too, because at the minute, we're just missing Kevin Nash, Booker T, and Steiner. So
don't even go there.
Booker T is still within the WWE. The other 2 had it, and you saw how Kevin Nash did in WWE. Finished.
Don't even go there.
Going nowhere. But I think the way I see it, if they're not going to bring those 3 in, I see it's going to be people who have been involved with the Ace and Eights previously over the last few months.
Yeah, just hope that it's some newer talent. Just saying. But yeah, Samoa Joe is part of the main event mafia. That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And the main event, and this to be honest, that could have been a big reveal of the night. And I really feel they could have, although it was good, don't get me wrong, I really think they could have saved this who is the real suicide angle maybe as a hook for next week's show. Because they kind of had the big reveal in Samoa Joe, but they instead did it tonight. They must have been really wanting ratings, especially after their low-rated show last week going up against the basketball. So we got this whole thing as to who was the real suicide. It meant more TV time for Hulk Hogan, but that really wasn't the point here. After a bit of banter with Hogan wanting him to take the mask off, Bully Ray coming out and wanting to take the mask off, who will be his opponent at the Destination X Impact in July, I feel. So we get the reveal that suicide was Austin Aries. To be honest, Austin Aries versus Bully Ray, in this option C thing, that's not a bad idea. I don't think so.
Well, I'm too sorry. I'm going to be fair here. Number one, like I was saying during the show, I thought this would have been a good chance for a one-off match to bring up someone new, because it could have been anyone, to be honest, that might have been deserved at least a push or a tease in the main event. So this could have been a chance to have brought up someone else. Aries, as much as I'm glad that Aries is back as a heel and in the main event again, because he's going to get Buddy Ray, you break up probably a tag team Bobby Roode and Aries, and plus Aries versus Buddy Ray for the third feud.
Yeah, third time in about, a year or maybe a year and a half or something like that. Yeah, I see where you're coming from there, but this is going to be done on an Impact, a sort of special pay-per-view kind of Impact. So, honestly, the way they got there was quite interesting, with the whole Austin Aries, taking out TJ Perkins backstage and being suicide and having that really deep promo. It wasn't meant to be a porn reference, I'm just saying. But the way they got there was pretty interesting. It made for some compelling TV. I didn't know who it was going to be. I mean, I didn't read spoilers or anything. Austin Aries, I mean, as much as I would have liked to have seen someone new being pushed because of this, Austin Aries, even though he's already in the BFG series and already sort of going after the title, kind of, this should be, at least, if anything else, it should be a damn good main event match of that Impact.
And that's what we said earlier in this review. TNA are going to do what they can to get ratings. And if Bully Ray vs. Aries, again, is going to give them a bit of a boost for a little while, then go for it. But I just felt, even if it won't give them ratings, at least be something new when you could have brought up another wrestler.
I definitely think Impact was better than last week. The show had a much more faster pace, in my opinion. There was a lot more variety of things going on. You didn't have the whole show devoted to the BFG series. There was things going on here, things going on here. And this is how TNA used to feel to me. There used to be all sorts of different things going on. You got the main event mafia stuff, which, hopefully will be interesting. You've got this who was the real suicide thing. That was something quite unique that you could only really imagine the TNA writers coming out with. And other things as well going forward. And it kind of does get me hyped a little bit more for the TNA product than I would have been going into, say, for example, Slammiversary. So not a bad show this week. I think it was definitely a big improvement over last week.
I do agree that it was better than last week. There's still, obviously, the worst is yet to come. So the Ace and Eights, MEM, just going to put Ace and Eights still in the main event angle and all this stuff. But other than that, because they weren't concentrating just on one big thing throughout the show, it was a lot better.
Indeed. And leave us your thoughts on this edition of TNA Impact Wrestling down in the comment section below. Look forward to my SmackDown review tomorrow night and NXT review on Saturday night, if you will. It's been another fantastic TNA review with us, the British Fist.
Catching.
I've been Mr. Parkin. This guy sitting next to me has been NJ.
What's up?
And it's just left for me to say goodbye to you all.